When in October 2002 a conference titled Armenians in the Centuries Borderline and Present-Day Problems of International Relations took place in Moscow, alongside with many interesting projects, a decision was taken to organize Conference of World Armenian Organization in the capital of Russian Federation on the 6th of October 2003. On this occasion, a committee was formed to organize the preparatory period of the conference, and Ara Abrahamian was elected as head of the committee. During a year, Ara Abrahamian was to many different countries discussing problems concerning the newly formed project with heads of Armenian community. But before passing to the newly formed World Armenian Union, we should like to tell you about Pan-Russian organization, which is known today as Russia's Armenian Union and which exists for already 3 years. Some time will pass and many of us will become sure that Pan-Armenian Union formed in Russia in the 21st century came to life in demand of time. These shots attracting your attention are really historical. And so, the Union of Russia's Armenians was formed on the 16th of June 2000 by the First Constituent Assembly. Greeting the participants of the First Assembly, the President of Russian Federation mentioned, "For hundreds of years, Armenian community of Russia have built our country together with other nations. As for today, Armenians have great contributions in the cause of scientific, cultural and industrial development of Russia. I hope that your newly formed organization will also assist the strengthening of centuries-old Armenian-Russian ties." The First Assembly elected Ara Abrahamian as President of the Union. Armenians have been living in Russia for over thousands of years. During these years, they have never been indifferent towards Russia, sharing its success and hard days. These traditions go on till today, and Russia's Armenian Union's activities are very important in this respect. At the same time, one of the main tasks is the maintenance and strengthening of stable and peaceful coexistence of Russian society in present difficult conditions. Unfortunately, during the past years, activization of nationalist forces has been noticed in some cities and regions of Russia, which has led to some conflicts in Krasnodar and Moscow regions. Only owing to the active efforts of Russia's Armenian Union, it was possible to avert such dreadful phenomenon which could cause bad results. Particularly during their meetings, the governor of Krasnodar, Alexander Tkachov, and Ara Abrahamian discussed not only issues of safety of Armenian members of the region, but also cultural issues, in the result of which changes for the better are observed in the above-mentioned spheres. The meetings of representatives of Russia's Armenian Union with officials of regions and cities of Russian Federation has become usual. These shots have been taken in Novosibirsk. The governor of the region, Viktor Talakomsky, told Ara Abrahamian and other members of the delegation that they always discussed economic, cultural, financial, scientific issues of the region with Novosibirsk Armenian community, and Armenian specialists had always shown their active participation in the solution of such questions. It goes without saying that it favors social, economic and cultural improvement. Concerning these shots, they have been taken in Stavropol region, where they were invited by Alexander Chernogor. By the way, during these days, the 9th Armenian school was opened in Stavropol. During these meetings, not only social economic questions were discussed, but also plans of investment were mentioned, and for these implementations, Armenian community is actively involved. As it was mentioned during the First Assembly, the well-known economist and statesman Ara Abrahamian was elected president of Russia's Armenian Union. It is due to his efforts that during past 2 years, Armenian-Russian economic relations have been very active. Ara Abrahamian also specifies the importance of the scientific, cultural, active relations. Due to his patriotical activity, he was awarded Russia's highest order as well as Armenian Apostolic Church's highest St. Gregory's Award. In 2001, Ara Abrahamian was awarded yearly Human Pan-Armenian Order. In May 2002, in Kremlin, Vladimir Putin awarded Friendship Reward to the President of Russia's Armenian Union. Now we offer you to get acquainted with 2 years' activity of Russia's Armenian Union. In March 2000, the reopening ceremony of the Armenian Church was held with an active participation of the Union in St. Petersburg, where the Supreme Patriarch of all Armenians, Garegin II, and the Patriarch of Russia and Moscow, Alexei II, greeted the people. In November 2000, in Ara Abrahamian's motherland in Malishka, St. Anne's Church was opened as a symbol of Armenian and Russian friendship. The Union gives great importance to the implementation of educational programs, actively cooperating with Yerevan Russian Slavonic University, helping the establishment with necessary materials, giving scholarships to honorable students. In 2001, with the participation of Armenian and Russian statesmen, a chair of Armenian language and literature was opened in Moscow State Language University. A similar chair was opened also at Moscow State University. The Union shows a great amount of financial help also to Moscow's Voronezh, Stavropol's Armenian schools. During the same year, in spring, 1550th anniversary of the Battle of Avarair was held in Bolshoi Theatre. The Union's support to the National Academy of Sciences of Armenia is also great. Owing to the cooperation of Russian and Armenian scientists, the future seems brighter due to the great efforts of National Academy of Sciences of Armenia. The Union supported the Academy with more than $100,000. In 2001, during autumn, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, together with his wife, arrived in Yerevan. Besides official meetings, the Russian First Lady participated in the opening of the Armenian-Russian Nations Friendship Museum. Upon the initiative of Russia's Armenian Union, they organized Easter in Armenian and Russian churches for the first time. During this celebration, the Patriarch of all Armenians, Garegin II, and Patriarch Alexei II in Moscow greeted the people. On the occasion of 1700th anniversary of Christianity as a state relation, 30 churches and khachkars were opened in Armenia. Millions of people participated in this pan-national festival. It has turned into a tradition in Armenia and Artsakh. These days, more than 1,000 Russian citizens participated in the ceremony. In March 2002, the Second Assembly of Russia's Armenian Union was held, where more than 67 Russian subjects and delegations participated, as well as hundreds of official guests. The same year, at the end of May, more than 500 representatives of the Union in Yerevan participated in the Second Assembly of Armenian Diaspora, where, in the professionals' opinion, many practical projects were presented by the Union of Armenians of Russia. In their projects, homage parties of famous Armenian people were mentioned. Many people will always remember world-known actor Armen Jigarkhanyan's, famous poetry Silva Kaputikyan's, and Olympian champion Nikita Simonyan's homage parties. In October 7 and 8, the International Assembly of Present-Day Problems of International Relations was held at Moscow's President Hotel. They accepted a number of formulas which mostly cleared our future accomplishments. They paid more attention to the genocide and Artsakh problems, where famous Armenian diaspora social statesman Vahagn Tateryan, Richard Hovanesyan, Professor Yuri Barseghov, and French historian Iftar Known, Israeli statesman Israel Charmi, and other statesmen presented their full speeches. In Moscow's International Relations University, the first volume of the book titled Armenian Genocide and Turks' Responsibilities and International Community's Duties came out around these questions. The second day of the assembly, the Armenian, Russian and North Korean Forum was held. During the assembly, it was decided to create World Armenian Organization. The Committee of the World Armenian Organization was created and Ara Abrahamian was chosen as the leader. In the present economic conditions, great importance is attached to the issues of economic integration of Armenia, in which Armenian communities of different countries must have their participation with maximum degree of their opportunities. It was mentioned that formation of World Armenian Union has become a vital question for realization of such a project. It was decided to summon the Constituent Assembly in October 5, 2003. Now, let's listen to some opinions about World Armenian Organization and about the president of the committee, Ara Abrahamian.
Ara Abrahamian
I think that Ara Abrahamian is one of the most skillful public figures and statesmen, and if we add to all these qualities his honest and communicative nature, it will be clear to us why he has such a good reputation. Estimations of Vatican, UNESCO and United Nations Organization come to testify this. Formation of World Armenian Union in present-day situation is another very important merit of Ara Abrahamian. Formation of such organization will join together Armenians from diaspora and Armenia, and as a poet says, our only salvation is in our unanimity. Purse wealth is a temporal notion. One must be wealthy spiritually. Ara Abrahamian is a spiritually wealthy man, and his spiritual wealth he donates to our nation every day. I welcome his last idea of forming World Armenian Union and uniting all Armenians of the world, because we must admit the fact, changing a bit what Charents has said, that Armenians' power is in being spread all over the world. Now we must join together all Armenians spread all over the world. It's a great power, and this power has a very important idea, that in a hardship all Armenians can join the same idea. And it seems to me that today is one of those days when Armenians from all over the world must join the idea that gives us Ara Abrahamian. After Moscow International Conference from October 9 to 13 in 2002, Russia's Armenian Union delegation again arrived in Yerevan. During the 4 days visit, about 600 members of the Russian delegation were to Artsakh and Armenia. Compared with the last two visits, Ara Abrahamian spoke more detailed about the World Armenian Union during all the meetings, saying that the above-mentioned project had existed long before and he was one of those who wanted to join that idea. Ara Abrahamian informed about his new idea with great pleasure to different state and non-governmental organizations and political parties. It is to be mentioned that everywhere the idea of formation of World Armenian Union was warmly accepted, especially during the meetings with the members of our traditional political parties. A practical and lively dialogue was formed. In the central office of HOIDA, the sides expressed their opinions about this newly formed project. We have no intention to complicate your work or lay obstacles. Every separate concrete project will be discussed with great pleasure and enthusiasm, and here there is a field for joint work. We shall not disturb your plans, we shall help and try to assist your work. The only difficulty is in the structure. As we have already mentioned, during the past year, Ara Abrahamian was to many different countries. The first country to be visited was Beirut, where Ara Abrahamian was invited by Catholicus Aram I. Greeting the guests arrived from Moscow, Aram I said that the purpose of the invitation was to introduce Beirut Armenian community with World Armenian Union activities. Aram I mentioned that Ara Abrahamian had really raised great interest among Lebanon Armenian community. Expressing his gratitude to the invitation, Ara Abrahamian mentioned that he would try to represent the project of forming World Armenian Union, and in this aspect he expected their assistance and support.
Who can be against supporting his motherland? Who can be against the idea of unity? And who can be against the idea of cooperation? As Ara Abrahamian mentioned, he is trying to establish relations with representatives of diaspora, and he wants them to join this idea and not his personality. Such kind of work will become a vital necessity for our communities, and we shall try to join together in diaspora in order to be useful to our country, to our nation.
In Beirut, Ara Abrahamian had a meeting with presidents of 3 traditional political parties. During such meetings, the guests arrived from Moscow spoke about the importance and necessity of forming World Armenian Union. The representatives of these parties promised to assist Ara Abrahamian to fulfill the project. During his stay in Beirut, Ara Abrahamian had meetings with the President of Lebanon, Emil Lahoud, and Prime Minister Rafik Hariri. They were also informed about his plans of forming World Armenian Union, and Ara Abrahamian expressed his hope that this newly formed union would give rise to the Armenian-Lebanon cooperation. The next place to be visited was Paris, where Ara Abrahamian also had a number of interesting and practical meetings. There, Ara Abrahamian also spoke about the importance of the new project. By the way, this project was the subject during the meetings with French high-ranking people.
Հայկական համայնքը Ռուսաստանի մեր Թուրքիի ամենամեծ հատվածներից։
Russia's Armenian community is the largest in the world, while French Armenian community is the largest in Europe. In this regard, it is very important that during his visit, the President of the Union of Russia's Armenians had an opportunity to meet with the representatives of French Armenian community, in the sense of exchanging opinions and experience. I think that this meeting was very important and fruitful. First of all, it is to be mentioned that Ara Abrahamian is one of those Armenians who is worth of great respect and pride. We must be proud that there is such an Armenian who doesn't wait to be invited. Instead, he makes suggestions himself, and we wish him further success. Taking part in the 5th conference of European Armenian Union in Veneti, Ara Abrahamian once more stressed the importance of forming World Armenian Union. Joining together, we shall be able to defend national interests of our country, Armenia, finishing his speech stated Ara Abrahamian.
Հիրավի մեր ժողովուրդը ճանաչում է իր արժանի զավակներին եւ համոզված եմ
Indeed, our nation knows his worthy sons, and I'm sure that this title inspired all Armenians. It seems as if by his activities, Ara Abrahamian hints statesmen that there are high ideas of serving the country which can't be destroyed by narrow party interests. I want to support Ara Abrahamian's project by all means. Every honest Armenian must support that he successfully finishes his great job. I'm sure that he will do it successfully, as he has put in it all his heart. On the 15th of July, Ara Abrahamyan again paid a visit to France. This time he was conferred the title and passport of UNESCO's Ambassador of Kind Will. By the way, only 36 people in the world are conferred this title, and it is very pleasant that an Armenian is also among them.
It goes without saying that the most excited person that day was the new ambassador.
I would say that it's a great honor for all Armenians that Ara Abrahamyan was given such a high award. You know, one can only be proud of this. I wonder how he manages to be in different places, countries during one day, doing various jobs. World Armenian Union will be, must be, and will give great results. You are also Ambassador of Hope, Mr. Abrahamyan. President Chirac said very correctly during the meeting, which was held a week ago in Elysee Palace. He said, "If there are such people in Russia, I am sure Russia will always be strong and powerful." As Russian ambassador, I was very pleased to hear it, and I am proud that you represent Russia, and at the same time you are the son of powerful Armenian nation. I am proud of you, and I am glad for Russia. From the capital of France, Ara Abrahamyan left for the United States of America. Here, Ara Abrahamyan was to have meetings with high-ranking people of Armenian community of New York, Washington, Los Angeles, and some other American statesmen. The subject of conversation in all these meetings was the first conference in Moscow in October.
Both in New York and Washington, Ara Abrahamyan spoke about the preparatory work done by the members of the committee and answered the questions which interested representatives of Armenian community.
He stated that surely they would take into consideration Russia's Armenian Union's 3 years experience. During the meetings, the new ambassador stressed for many times that World Armenian Union would increase development of the economic integration between countries. The new union will also assist political and cultural aspects of separate countries.
The best example of it is Russia's Armenian Union's activities.
The statesmen of the United States of America also expressed their approval to Ara Abrahamyan's such important activity. In their opinion, only such people like Ara Abrahamyan can serve to the realization of such high ideas. During all the meetings, it was mentioned that American government was ready to assist their project and would cooperate with them.
Ուրախ եմ, որ ինքը եկավ, այցելեց եւ նաեւ առիթ ունեցավ
I am glad that Ara Abrahamyan came and had an opportunity to meet with the Armenian community of America to answer their questions and speak about his fine project how to join together all Armenians of the world and form a union. I saw and noticed what a patriot and humane Ara Abrahamyan is. I know that he loves his country very much because he is a son of mother country, and I have also noticed in his activities that he will try to make his country more powerful. From 29 to 30 in August, in Ohrid, Macedonia, a conference titled Dialogue of Civilizations was held. Presidents of 8 countries of southeastern Europe, representatives of United Nations organizations, famous scientists had come to Ohrid. Among the participants was Ara Abrahamyan. Stressing the importance and role of the International Summit, President of Macedonia Boris Trajakovski, Secretary of UNESCO Koichiro Matsuura, United States representatives Rubin Arthur Schneier, United Nations Organization representative John Domenico Pico, and Ara Abrahamyan mentioned in their speeches that issues which were discussed in Ohrid were the main basis between civilizations, the regulation of which will bring to the stability in every corner of the world. During his two-day visit in Ohrid, Ara Abrahamyan had practical meetings with presidents of different countries, famous statesmen. The first meeting was with the president of Horvatia, Stepan Mesic. During this meeting, the president of Russia's Armenian Union touched upon safety problems in Balkans and also the problems which Armenians face, with stressing the importance of dialogue between civilizations for establishing stability, peace and safety. The meeting with President Boris Trajakovski was in a rather warm atmosphere. Problems of humanitarian and business aspects were discussed. Boris Trajakovski suggested Ara Abrahamyan to realize contributions in their country, promising to assist the project. More than an hour lasted the meeting with President Dragan Čović. As president of Russia's Armenian Union, I know very well the problems of all Armenian communities. They have gained a lot of experience of coexistence with nations of Balkan countries and other nations. Dragan Čović also suggested Ara Abrahamyan to realize some projects which would interest both sides, promising to assist him. In his opinion, Ara Abrahamyan is the person who could assist economic and cultural relations between the two countries. In the conversation with his good friend Mr. Matsuura, Ara Abrahamyan mentioned that he feels great responsibility in the developing the dialogue of civilizations, being sure that dialogue of civilizations is the guarantee of peace and stability. UNESCO considers that people like Ara Abrahamyan can fulfill ideas which will raise organization's reputation, closed his speech Mr. Matsuura. In a warm and friendly atmosphere, Ara Abrahamyan informed President of Bulgaria, Georgi Piranov, that in October the first conference of World Armenian Union would be held in Moscow. One of the problems of the newly formed organization will be the assistance of relations between the nations and the stability of their relations. Georgi Piranov, expressing his approval, mentioned that during the past 2 years, Armenian-Bulgarian and Russian-Bulgarian ties had rather increased. He invited Ara Abrahamyan to Bulgaria, where a great number of Armenians live, and to actively take part in Bulgaria's economic and cultural aspects of life. The invitation was warmly accepted. In all the meetings in Ohrid, Ara Abrahamyan mentioned that one of the main problems, the main aim of the World Armenian Union would be to assist Armenian communities to contribute humanitarian relations among nations.
I've known Ara Abrahamyan now for a few years, and I'm aware of the great interest that he has in the development of the diamond business in Russia. Of course, Ara is many things. He's an Armenian patriot, but at the same time, we've got to know him because of our mutual interest in the diamond business in Russia. And he's become a firm friend of De Beers, and we really are very appreciative of the fact that he consults for us within Russia. We've got to know him well, and that's why I'm so pleased to be here in Paris when he is officiating at what is an Armenian evening here in Paris.
Nous sommes là pour vous confirmer que nous connaissons Araik Abramian depuis 1997.
Being well acquainted with Ara Abrahamian, I can confirm that he is a fine personality with good human qualities. Thales firm has been cooperating with Ara Abrahamian since 1996, and during all these years we have become convinced that cooperation with Ara Abrahamian is really very fruitful. I think that in the future our cooperation will also have its continuation. Ara Abrahamian is that partner of ours whose projects are really very interesting. On the 14th of September, before the conference of the World Armenian Union, Ara Abrahamian arrived in Yerevan. The next day, he took part in the Armenological Conference, which had historical cultural importance and which was held in the National Academy of Sciences of Armenian Republic. For the first time in the Armenian history, 80 representatives from 25 countries discussed issues of Armenological development. Before returning Moscow, the president of Russia's Armenian Union had a number of important meetings. Issues of the Constituent Assembly of the World Armenian Union was once more thoroughly discussed during such meetings. During the meetings with Prime Minister of Armenia Andronik Markaryan, Chairman of National Assembly Artur Baghdasaryan, leaders of all groupings of National Assembly and members of Parliament, Ara Abrahamian represented his viewpoints, mentioning that the new millennium has really brought various problems to our nation. During the meetings with groupings, Ara Abrahamian was often asked about the purpose of the newly formed organization. Everywhere, the ambassador of kind will of UNESCO replied that the main aim of the World Armenian Union was to join together all Armenians spread all over the world in favor of defense of national interests, and in order to reach the aim, many problems must be solved. First of all, great potential of diaspora must be involved in the social-economic development of Armenia, in this way assisting the process of maintenance, stability and strengthening of Armenian statehood, as well as peaceful regulation of Artsakh problem and acknowledgement of Armenian genocide. Ara Abrahamian also mentioned that for a successful cooperation, he invited all members of parliament to take part in the first assembly of newly formed organization. The same day, Ara Abrahamian also had a meeting with the President of Armenian Republic, Robert Kocharyan. The next day, during the press conference in Yerevan Hotel, the President of Russia's Armenian Union gave explanations about the process of formation of World Armenian Union. The speaker mentioned that the process of formation of the union was in the final stage of working out. Ara Abrahamian mentioned that rich Armenians could have a great role in the new union, and he had already met some of them. The same day, in the evening, Ara Abrahamian was present in a very beautiful ceremony in Echmiadzin, where he was invited by the Supreme Patriarch of all Armenians, Karegin II. The president of the National Academy of Sciences of Armenia, Fadei Sargsyan, was awarded the highest order of Armenian Apostolic Church, Saint Sahak Saint Mesrop, on the occasion of his 80th anniversary. The Supreme Patriarch spoke highly of Fadei Sargsyan's role in the cause of Armenian statehood, mentioning that during hard days he took and goes on leading the main temple of our science. Greeting the World Armenian Organization's Assembly, the Patriarch of all Armenians, Karegin II, said,
Այսօր հայրենիքի սերը
I would like to greet from Saint Echmiadzin the opening of the Assembly of World Armenian Union, its participants, and I want also to congratulate Ara Abrahamian on the occasion of St. Gregory's Award.
It was due to Ara Abrahamyan's great efforts that this assembly was held. Let God bless you and be your guide.
Հայկական կազմակերպության հիմնադիր համագումարի